So, early this morning, TalkSport released an article titled "In Shape, Footage Emerges of Former Champion Andy Ruiz, who beat Anthony Joshua, with a new slimmed down physique ahead of his fight against Luis Ortiz." People, how many times have we heard this before? How many times have we seen the pictures, the videos, certain flattering angles where Andy Ruiz looks like he's trimming down, he's getting into fighting shape, and he comes in on the day of the weigh-in and he's heavier than ever. Yeah, I've lost count of how many times we've been in this situation. However, I might be getting fooled again, but I do think there is some weight and some accuracy to this leading up to this Luis Ortiz fight. And look, we've seen the pictures and the videos, as I say, with the angles that a lot of young women like to use to deceive their male dates. And Andy Ruiz is no stranger to using these tricks, these photo tricks and these angles to make himself look like he's in much better shape than he actually is. But if we look at Andy Ruiz's form, it has been positive, quote unquote, in terms of his weight loss. Because, of course, the first Joshua fight, he weighed in at 268 pounds. Yeah, okay, not bad by Andy Ruiz, by his standards. But then in the rematch, 6 months later, he balloons up to 283.5, which is scary to think that that's not even his career heaviest. But then, didn't fight for a long time for obvious reasons, no fault of his own, really. He fights against Chris Arreola in May of last year, and he's down at 256 pounds. And now, that's a considerable weight loss. It's not the lowest he's ever been. I think Ruiz is no stranger to be in the low to mid 250s, but down from 283 pounds, you know, it's not bad. That's a, as I say, it's a considerable weight loss. And we saw that Arreola fight where he had a bit more bounce in his step. He was moving quite well. Andy Ruiz looked like he still retained and even improved some of his hand speed, which is scary because even when he was massive, he still had very sharp hands, very fast hands. But the punch resistance, I think it's fair to question it. How is the weight loss going to impact his punch resistance and his energy levels? If we look at this, scroll down this article, there's actually a video, a short clip of Andy Ruiz doing some planks with his son, I think. And he does look quite strong and trim. And, you know, take it with a pinch of salt. You know, this whole article gives you videos and clips of Andy Ruiz on the pads doing these planks, and he looks good. But I understand people are going to kind of be apprehensive to accept this and take it at face value, which is good. You shouldn't take things at face value. But Andy Ruiz's form, I guess you could call it, because he seems to just be fighting once a year. You know, fought Joshua June 2019, then December 2019, and then May 2021, and it's now June 2022, and he's not fighting until September. Yeah, so inactivity is not going to help Andy Ruiz. But if we look at his form, he does seem to be going in the direction of weight loss. But is it going to help him? Because as I say, his punch resistance in the Arreola fight didn't look great, and Andy Ruiz is someone who typically has a very good chin. He's taken some of Anthony Joshua's best shots, and Joshua is a big puncher. And yeah, Ruiz, he got knocked down in the first fight, but he wasn't completely out of it. He looked quite clear-headed. He just he got up, and you look at his eyes, and he didn't look like he was dazed or anything. You know, he'd just been knocked down. He got hit by a massive left hook, but he wasn't out of it. He was still had his faculties. He got stung by Joshua with a right hand over the top in the first round of the rematch. Once again, yeah, legs wobbled a little bit, but he wasn't out of it. So he's someone who has a very solid chin for a heavyweight. But then against Chris Arreola, he's down, he's getting buzzed, and it's after he's had this weight loss. So I think it's fair to question and ask, is there a limit to Andy Ruiz's weight loss, or the weight he can come in at and still function well? And is he approaching that limit now? Because 256 pounds, let's assume that for this Ortiz fight, he comes in lighter. And if he does, I would not be surprised if we see Ortiz flatten Ruiz. Because if Chris Arreola's buzzing you and knocking you down with right hands, What's Luis Ortiz's left hand going to do? You know, I know styles make fights, but I think it's fair to say that Luis Ortiz is a bigger puncher than Chris Arreola. And if Andy Ruiz is maybe struggling to stand up to Areola's power because of this weight loss, it could all go very, very wrong. But, I mean, the Ortiz fight is a great fight anyway. But, you know, if you're Andy Ruiz or his team, are you going to start to maybe pump the brakes on the weight loss a little bit? Maybe put some weight on? Maybe a couple of more pounds just to get Andy Ruiz, give him a bit more strength? Because you have to factor in, like, I think a lot of people associate losing fat with the benefits of it. And they think, okay, the more you lose, the more benefits you kind of accrue. Well, I don't think it really works like that, because when you consider Andy Ruiz, who is a fairly unique case in the fact that he's been fat his whole life. You know, it's no disrespect. I know it's not very PC, but Andy Ruiz is a fat guy. He's a fat guy through and through. And if you can find pictures of Andy Ruiz when he's like a teenager, and he's fat then. He was a fat guy then, he's a fat guy now. It just kind of depends, like his level of fatness varies, you know. His body obviously has become used to having a certain amount of fat. And if he strips too much of that fat away, you know, his body might start going into a bit of a panic mode and thinking, what's going on? Like, what kind of condition are we in? Because I'm losing all this energy, all these energy deposits, these resources that I've always had loads of. Why are so many going? And then the body can act in some very strange ways when that happens. And it can obviously manifest itself in a person's performance. So yeah, Andy Ruiz might be physically lighter, and because of that he's able to move around more, but what's going to happen to his energy? What's going to happen to his punch resistance? You know, don't underestimate how weight plays a role in punch resistance, because if you're close to your opponent in terms of body mass, in terms of your mass and how it interacts with theirs, there's going to be less of a difference, and therefore potentially, you know, other things come into play, but you can absorb their force that they generate a bit better because the weight difference is smaller. However, if you're Andy Ruiz and you're losing loads and loads of weight, and then you're going against your opponent who's now massively heavier than you, potentially, they may just blow you away with their punches. And on top of that, you have maybe a bit of a drain in your energy because you've lost so much weight. I don't know. I'm just asking the question because it does seem that Andy Ruiz may come into this fight lighter against Luis Ortiz, and how is that going to affect his performances? So I think it's interesting, but once again, it's just another kind of addition to the weight saga of Andy Ruiz, which always seems to crop up like once a year. But it is what it is, and that's just my opinion. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Do you think Andy Ruiz is actually going to come into the Luis Ortiz fight even lighter? And if he does, do you think lighter is better? Do you think Andy Ruiz should continue to lose weight, or do you think he should maybe pump the brakes and get comfortable with a weight he's at already? How do you think it's going to impact his performance? Leave it down below and I'll get back to you. Thanks for watching, and as always, I'll catch you in the next video.